Nope, not ready to, yet to go back to the water power uh, to run all this machinery. There's more I really need to say. First of all, I looked for the mock-up in the Smithsonian. I couldn't find it. Supposedly, I was looking at a complete tour, but the guy missed it, I think. I hope it's not. I hope it's still there. I don't know. Another thing, a memory I had come up. The first time I was ever in Washington, D.C., I was there on a weekend overnight, and my cousin, Nina, was with me. Uh, Something was going on with one of our, maybe our grandfather, and but anyway, what did we do? I'm talking, I was maybe 12, maybe around that age. We went to the Smithsonian Institute. And at that time, it was really only one building, two buildings. It was always the castle, is the nickname for the one. And right beside it is still this wonderful building, which I think then was called the Arts and Industries Building. And it was full of this machinery, wonderful, wonderful machinery. I just loved it. And years later, it was years later, I went back, and anytime I was in D.C., I tried to see it again. I went back, and the stuff was gone, and I was heartbroken. Where did it go? And then eventually, I found out a lot of it showed up in the basement of the newer, the American History Museum, which I spoke about. So that stuff is not gone. It's in storage somewhere, and it is wonderful. Another thing related to that, when I said the Rust Belt, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, out through there is where all this industry was, largely because of coal and steel. Those two industries, they had everything they needed here. Now that changed. But if you go even further back up in New England, along the Merrimack River, between Vermont and New Hampshire, there were a whole bunch of little mills. There it was water power, a lot of water power and then that's the Connecticut River, but then the Merrimack River as well. Uh, Now that stuff, with the dawn of electric power and other sources of power besides water, those mills basically all closed down. So I wanted to mention those two. Another thing, I was surprised different times that I've been in Europe at historic museums that I saw some stuff sort of like this, but there wasn't much of it. And compared to, it just seemed to be all over the place. I think I know why that was. I think so much of that stuff was scrapped in for World War One and World War Two. Probably both. I'm thinking particularly World War One. A lot of it was scrapped here as well. That's one of the things that happened on this farm with the Oppenheimer machinery that they have, I think. But here there was just so much of it. And by that time, steel was being made fresh. You didn't have to melt down all the others. So a lot of the stuff survived here. So I want to mention those two things. I wanted to mention that throughout Pennsylvania and Ohio, I think, and I'm sure other places in the world, but Pennsylvania especially, there are yearly festivals where guys and women too, get together to celebrate steam engines and this old machinery and stuff. Just over the mountain in Morrison's Cove, there's a place that's called the Southern Cove. There's a Southern Cove Power Reunion that they have every year. They've had it for, I don't know, at least 20 years. And there's some much bigger ones. There's one in Pennsylvania at Cold Spring or Cool Spring. People will come all the way from Europe to see one like that one. Uh, and there's one up here in Somerset, Pennsylvania. I haven't been to these lately, but I did for a while. So I wanted to mention that. And then finally, I guess finally, I want to specifically mention some things that I actually have here on the Camp Range campus. I have two antique sawmills, neither of them working. They date from about, they date from about 1890, somewhere around there. They're both Farquhars, Farquehar, Farquhar, I think is what it is. People always talk there's other bigger names. And there was a technological development in driving the set works, the carriage that runs the log by the saw, that was definitely an improvement. The boat that I have have old friction discs that have another wheel rolling on it to give you endless speed. No time to explain it. They went to a system of slipping belts, which really works better. Uh, all right, so I have two of them, and I have pretty much all the parts to them. They can be set up by whenever someone's here devoted to the cause. One's under a collapsed building, but I'm going to jack the building back up. And I have the other of all this machinery that I have. The other one I want to mention is one that has a name, Pride of the Mill, or I think it's Pride of the Shop, is the name of this. It dates from about 1918, 1915, and it was basically a shopsmith where there were 7, I think, and there was a variety of it that made even 8, I think, machines that all ran off one power source. But it was all inside one big machine. It was basically, there's 7 working heads: a ripping saw, a cutoff saw, a mortiser, a bandsaw, a jointer. There wasn't a planer. And there was even in one version, there was a machine to build wooden wheels. And I have a lot of other stuff too. My mother had gathered a lot of that stuff that was related to farm machinery. But I can't list it all. That's not my purpose here now anyway. But I think now I've exhausted this for now.